Welcome to the VLenore Show. Here, we will discuss lifestyle, beauty, celebrity gossip, and current events in our own way, my way, freestyle. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Well, hello, everybody. We are back. We are back again. Hi, Apostle Dr. Norma Gray. Apostle Dr. Norma Gray. All right. I got to be on my best behavior. I better watch my mouth tonight, too, I guess. Welcome, Apostle. Hi, Tamara. Is it Tamara or Tamara? You have to get me together, okay? Hi, Bella. Hello. All right, guys. So look, I am actually, let me even take this off the screen for now. I want to discuss the interview I did. Actually, it was 2 years ago. I really talk about being inconsistent out here and providing content. I was not very consistent and took a whole year off in between. But what I will say is, I really tried my best, even when I couldn't garner a lot of attention in my chat. I still wanted to give the best content possible. And I wanted to bring forth, experts, people who actually work in the fields of some of the things we talk about out here in this YouTube sphere. It's better when you've got experts that can kind of, reel you in, check you when you're wrong, and enlighten us with things that we don't necessarily know a lot about. So I want to bring up this interview I did because one of my best friends of more than 25 years actually used to work for Wells Fargo. So we used to talk all the time, just about, things with banking practices. I used to work for banks 2 years ago, but not as a branch manager, but as a teller. I actually interned with a bank in college. So every summer I'd work for a bank in a different department. Child, I knew very quickly I never wanted to be in banking, but I'm just saying. I still learned a lot. And I also learned how, sometimes decisions are made based upon the betterment of the client, not necessarily because, people are trying to steal something from you or because they're trying to be mean and difficult with the client. Sometimes decisions are made for the safety of the client, right? So, hey, Fedora, thank you for being here, honey. Thank you. Hey, ODS. Hi, Melissa Goff. Hi, Maryland Girl for Life. Hi, Miss Ray Ellen. So, yeah, would you say ODS? I did 5 years. Yeah, I did. Well, let's see this. I worked 3 years where each summer, so I worked 3 summers for a bank. I worked 2 full years for a bank. One of the years that I worked for the bank, it was part-time, and I worked as like a receptionist on campus. But that was during the time that I was actually an intern for the very same bank. And then right before I moved to Atlanta, because I moved to Atlanta in 93, a year prior, I worked for a different bank. And that time I worked as a teller. And I was like, was that part-time? Was that full-time? I think that was a part-time gig. I think. I can't remember now. But anywho, I knew I didn't love it. But you definitely learn a lot, right, in the process. So 2 years ago, when this whole thing came out about Wendy Williams, and I remember actually being in a Zoom, and someone, I guess we were talking about hot topics, and they were saying, this is a shame, the people are trying to take hold of Wendy's money. Somebody's trying to steal her money and this, that, and the other. And I was like, they don't, that it doesn't work like that. You can't just lock down somebody's money because you want to steal it. And to even suggest that Wells Fargo would want to steal Wendy Williams's money, like, it's weird, because when I say they manage billions upon billions upon billions of dollars, Wendy's money wouldn't even make a drop in the bucket. Like, why would they come for Wendy? Wendy has been one of their best clients, So what I did was I reached out to my girlfriend who actually worked for Wells Fargo, who was a branch manager for Wells Fargo for 5 years or more, actually closer to 6 years, I want to say. And I said, hey, let's talk about what are some of the policies associated with Wells Fargo. Tell me how, this plays out. Like, because she and I had talked about it before I even did the interview, but we had talked about it because we're watching it on TV, right? We're watching it, not because I was like, hey, I want you to come on my show. I literally was like discussing it with her because I'm watching this stuff too. And I knew that they just didn't lock her shit down for no reason. But I did feel like there were people that were taking jabs at Wells Fargo for no reason. Now, I am not a proponent for taking up for Wells Fargo. Let's be very clear. Wells Fargo has been known to do some scandalous things. No doubt about it. Hell, I remember getting in the mail a debit card and statements, 2 statements and paperwork regarding a checking account and a savings account that had been opened for me. And I know I didn't open it. First of all, I live in a city where there are no Wells Fargo. So why, like, if I had done it, not to say that I wouldn't get a banking account at a bank that isn't present, because I actually do have an account at a bank that is not in my city. However, I would remember that shit. Okay. Excuse me, Apostle. Excuse me, Apostle Doctor. Forgive me. I likes to go. Okay. But yeah, so I just knew that there are reasons why those things happen. And if you remember, we knew that Wendy, had some actual physical health issues. We saw her pass out right before our eyes. She's talked to us about her Graves' disease, or is it Graves? She has Graves' disease, correct? She's talked about the different things that she's dealt with. So we knew that she physically wasn't necessarily well, but did we know exactly how unwell she was? Look, I have been one of those Tasha K followers. Every time Tasha K went live, I was paying attention, because Tasha K was breaking all kinds of stories at that time. She was talking about Steve Harvey and his wife and her exes and his exes. So, we'd watch all that come out of Tasha K. We'd watch Tasha K reveal all the stuff she did, and many of the victims that have been named in the recent trials regarding R. Kelly. So we knew about that from Tasha K. And we knew about Wendy Williams' husband and his affairs through Tasha K. So if Tasha K was talking about Wendy Williams, I'm paying attention, because we already knew that she was fully aware of what Wendy's husband's dealings were, right? So why wouldn't she know a little bit about this? So I was paying attention. And because I was paying attention and I knew all the stuff that was going on with the husband and his mistress, and then we learned they had a baby. We saw how Wendy fell apart after that. We watched it. We watched how once that stuff became public, because I'm one of those believers. Look, I wholeheartedly believe that Wendy loved her husband, and her husband had a level of love for her, a level of respect, even if it was for his own good or for the good of his son or for whatever. All I know is the things I was hearing about Wendy and the things that Tasha K had released to us about DJ Booth, saying that there are things that were going on at the studios there where she was recording her show. And that was important to remember, because one of the stories that they talked about was Wendy getting butt naked, okay? Butt naked, okay? At the studio, and was literally touching herself and was inviting people in to watch, right? So that tells you that's not Wendy Williams in her right mind. There's obviously something going on with Wendy Williams. And so I want to talk about that. I want to talk about what we know now, because I got a couple of videos, some TikTok stuff where they're showing Wendy, from the documentary, and just what we learned throughout the documentary and kind of what we're learning now. Hey, Voodoo Badu, welcome. Hi, Sandy. So let's go ahead. Let me share my screen. Darn it. There we go. And then I'll make this big because it's my shit I'm sharing, okay? All right. So again, as I said, this is from a couple years ago. And get this, what's funny is I forgot. She wasn't even live with us here. I forgot about that because I tried to squeeze. I talked to her about it like a couple of days before, like, hey, I want to interview you. But we couldn't figure out the best time. Like evening, she was busy with something, or I had something going on. And during the day, it was just a mess. So we decided, let's do a pre-recorded session, like a 30-minute deal. And then I'll share my screen later that night and I'll just go live, right? So would you say, ODS? Let me take my pressure pill. Because you love some Wendy. I know, right? Okay, so let's listen a little bit here. I'm reading. I start off here reading just a little bit from an article that's talking about the lawyer, Wendy's lawyer. If you guys remember this, when all this stuff broke out about Wendy not having access to her money, and she came live, and there were times we would watch Wendy and she sounded like she was making plenty of good ass sense. She seemed like the normal Wendy, just happened to be at home chilling while she's telling us. But then the next thing you know, we'd see her walking the streets and she's looking drunk, or she's looking as if the people around her are questionable, or she's just dressed weird. Like the things she was doing, and she's asking people, look at my ring. You see my ring? You see my ring? Y'all remember that? And the fact that she was telling people, at one point we saw a clip of her telling someone to go in and buy this liquor for her. It was just sad. So we knew some things were happening. But what I'm reading right here is, after all that's taken place, her attorney, who was her attorney. Okay, this is not an attorney that was the not that I know of, that was the production assist, or their productions attorneys. It wasn't the bank's attorneys. This was an attorney that had been Wendy's attorney for many, many years. Okay, or at least felt that he knew her very well. So I'm reading his little statement, and then we go right into the interview. So here we go. Oh, shoot.
That after 14 seasons on air, the Wendy Williams show would be coming to an end as the host continues to struggle with her health. This is reported by AV Club. However, Wendy Williams has since responded to her representative's statement online in a move that seemingly calls into question the fate of the daytime talk show. Following distributor Delmar Mercury's official announcement yesterday, or this was a couple days ago, Representative Howard Bragman shared a message on behalf of Williams. It's been a challenging time for Wendy as she deals with her health issues. She is incredibly grateful to Delmar Mercury, to Sherry, and everybody else who has supported the show through this time. She, more than anyone, understands the reality of syndicated television. You can't go to the marketplace and sell a show that's the maybe Wendy show, he continued. She understands why this decision was made from a business point of view, and she has been assured by Debmar Mercury that should her health get to a point where she can host again, and should her desire be that she hosts again, that she would be back on TV at that time. However, shortly after that, Wendy took to her Instagram, and this is a new Instagram that has just been created. I don't think it has been verified yet, but it has been proven that it is Wendy's account. Okay.
And let's be clear. Like I said, we've seen her do odd things at this point. You know, she's been gone from the show by this time over a year. And we've seen her do these weird things out in public. Okay. And never mind my reading. I know how to read well. I just couldn't see the damn shit on the screen. But okay, so listen. So this is Wendy's response on her new Instagram. Because remember, when she stepped away from the show, they turned her old Instagram into Sherry's, you know, for the Sherry Show Instagram. They just wiped Wendy clean from like existence over there. It was real crazy. So listen up. This is how Wendy responded to what her attorney just said.
Mr. Bragman, now this is coming from Wendy. Mr. Bragman, although I appreciate your concerns and respect you immensely, I have not authorized you to make any statements on my behalf regarding my current status with Debmar Mercury. Again, thanks for your continuing concern and support. So, Bragman has since released another public statement in regards to the post made on the newly created Instagram.
Because you could see the way she responded is like, I'll talk for myself. You don't tell me, or you don't tell these people, you don't speak for me. You don't tell these people when I'm coming back or what I can do. I told people 2 years ago, this woman is not coming back. Not in the way we were used to her being. She was not going to be hosting anyone's show. She was not in a physical frame of mind to be able to do so. I said it 2 years ago, and here we are. And I didn't say that to be mean. I said that because I could see. And from what I was hearing and reading, it was enough to see. Sis was not well. And she's done her job and some. She's had some incredible accomplishments. Now it's her time. I'm with her son when he says, you know, I think she's worked enough. I think, you know, it's a hard call to make for someone else, but you can make it if you have their best interests in mind and if you know that they're not well. So here goes the representative, her attorney, once again responding to what Wendy has put out in the atmosphere. Because honestly, he was trying to, you know, have her back. But here we go.
Account. I am not honestly convinced of the source of that social media post. This is what Bragman's saying. So when my old friend Wendy FaceTimes me personally, and we alone have a chance to discuss recent events together, we can figure out the best path forward, Bergman said in a statement. So that is suggesting not so much that the account isn't a Wendy account, but who is controlling this Wendy account and who sent that message to him. And he's saying that I know Wendy. And if Wendy, my friend, FaceTimes me, and I know it's Wendy saying this to me, I'll have a better take on whether or not I believe it and how to move forward. So I think all of this is sad. I think that we have
I'm going to move it to the actual interview. So I just wanted to give you that context. So here we go. Now, again, like I said, this is one of my best friends.
You for being here with
one of my best friends, and like I said, she worked. Now she wasn't working for Wells Fargo at this time. She probably had been gone maybe 4 or 5 years at this point. But she had worked there for 6 years. She's a financial planner. And so she understands how all this stuff works, especially with clients with the type of net worth that Wendy has. So let's listen up.
With me today, I have Dee, who is a financial manager and consultant, who is going to talk to us a little bit about what it may look like for Wendy Williams or someone that's working with Wendy Williams in her.
Oh, let me say this. This is crazy because remember I said that she and I did this pre-recorded like earlier in the day. So it's later in the evening that day. And here I am sharing my screen. So now I'm sharing the screen of me sharing the screen of myself. This is so goofy. Okay, here we go.
Her case. Before I let this go further, hi everybody. Can you all hear?
Now I'm talking.
Put a 1 in the chat.
Let me stop. Okay, go.
All right. You wouldn't mind, first of all, thank you for being here. You wouldn't mind just sort of giving us a little bit of information on your background?
Yeah, so I have a 20-year-long career in financial management and consultant services industry, which includes a 6-year relationship as a branch manager for Wells Fargo.
Perfect. Because as you know, I'm sure that you've looked over this case and heard a lot about it. Wells Fargo is actually the banking institution that is freezing his accounts right now.
Hold on 1 second. So Kimberly Black says, hey, Kimberly. Hi, V. Another point is the attorney's statement sounds suspect to me. Why would he say when my friend FaceTime? Because what he's saying is, I don't know who's writing me right now, or I don't know who this is, and I'm not going to do anything for the benefit. If someone else is taking advantage of Wendy, because this is what Wells Fargo has said, that they felt that she was being exploited by someone or people around her. That is why they froze her accounts. So now you've got the actual attorney speaking out and saying, hey, you know, Wendy is doing well. I mean, he really put a positive spin, like, you know, Wendy's doing this and she's well, and we're working at this. And if she decides she wants to come back to television, you know, blah, blah, this and that. He didn't say anything that she should have been offended by, but the people from her camp, and it could have largely been Wendy, but the people from her camp were trying to get from the attorney's perspective and the bank's perspective, somebody is trying to take advantage of this woman's money. And they were trying to do something to protect her and protect her assets. It would be like, let's say someone is taking advantage of you, Kimberly Black. Either they're holding you by pow point, or they are threatening to do something to you otherwise, or maybe you've got a new lover and that this person is trying to take advantage of you, you know, from overseas. Who knows? It could be a number of things. And so he's saying, I don't know who this is because my friend, the person I know, they wouldn't talk to me like this. I mean, in so many words. Or maybe he's tried to talk to this person or talk to Wendy, and there are people in the way of that. So I don't think it sounds suspect. I think he's saying when my friend FaceTimes me and I can see for my eyes that that's my friend talking, and I can know or tell whether or not she looks like she's under, you know, duress. Is somebody coercing her to say something to me? I mean, I think it's fair. I think it's fair. So here we go.
Right.
So let me ask you this. So as a branch manager, do wealthy people normally just walk into the branch? Is that a common practice for someone with, you know, the type of wealth that Wendy has? Not just wealth, but she has, you know, popularity. So it may be a little hard for a celebrity to come into the branch, but does that happen?
I mean, we've seen celebrities come into the branch, but usually.
Hold on. I don't want your comment to go anywhere, Kimberly, before I lose it. So you said, but why, before saying that, he should have called her? That, Kimberly, read between the lines. This man has not been able to talk to her. If he calls her, he's not getting to talk to her. A lot of people felt like they weren't able to talk to her. If you notice, the son can barely talk to her right now. And we know what's going on. And they have a guardian in place for her. And even he has problems, and that's his own mama. If the son has a problem getting her on the phone, why would you think an attorney would have a better chance? Not likely. Not from my perspective. You see what I'm saying? I was offended for her because I can't type all I want to say. Oh, say that again. I was defending for her. Is that what you meant to say? You were defending for her? She said, link, please, when you finish. Okay. Nowhere. Okay. Got it. What you say? Aunt Viv, Daphne Reed. Oh, yeah. The second Aunt Viv used to bank with me at BBT. What's BBT? What's BBT? She's from my area. Her and Tim would come in the branch often. Oh, is that right? Wait a minute. Yeah, that's right. That's where the studio was. Is that studio still there? I'm guessing it's not. Did that studio close? ODS? Because I know that Tim Reed he was the first Black man I knew to own a studio. And I don't appreciate them saying that Tyler Perry is the first Black man. They can say he's got the largest studio in the country. In fact, none of the major studios in LA are as big as Tyler Perry's studio. So that's amazing. That's an amazing feat as it is. But he was not the first to own a studio. That's right. Millennium Studios. A friend of mine used to be, I think he used to run the studio, and he was a co-producer on a couple of the projects. Marty Jones. He's from Columbus, Ohio. But yeah. SunTrust. It's BBT. It used to be a bank. They sold it to SunTrust. Oh, gotcha. Okay, here we go, y'all.
With her level of wealth, she's usually assigned a private banker.
Okay.
So you're rarely, unless she anyone can come to the branch, unless she just decides that she wants to come in. Usually, she will be assigned an individual, a private banker, to manage all of her financial needs, and they have the ability to transfer cash checks, transfer money, whatever her financial needs. It's almost like a concierge service when you have that level of wealth. So typically, you're not going to see them bank in the traditional setting that we would bank in at that income level.
So even in this case, so she wouldn't necessarily have to come into the bank to make these transfers. She could call that personal banker directly, and they would make those transactions for her. Right? Correct. Okay. Now that personal banker, and let me just
private banker investment. So they're typically a private banker investment banker. They typically manage your entire portfolio.
Okay. So this lady that was
Leslie
Wendy's financial advisor, she worked for Wells Fargo. Is this the position that we're talking about? This private banker investment person?
I'm not sure. I think she's a private she's an investment advisor. I'm not certain that this is her actual private banker, because you can have both, actually.
Okay.
But my understanding, yes, you can have a private banker, and then you can have someone who actually manages your investments independently. You can have an investment manager as well. And she may have both. But I'm assuming that this may be her private banker as well, only because it appears that she's very familiar with just obviously her transaction of, her regular transaction activity and style. I'm going to assume based upon what I've read. So
So what do you know about the Wendy Williams situation? What have you been
So I know that the private financial advisor has indicated, or it has been stated, that she is of unsound mind and she has witnessed signs of undue financial exploitation.
Now let's stop it right there. If you saw the documentary, then you know that what that lady has reported that she has seen with her own eyes. You and I, if you watch that documentary, you and I saw it for our own eyes as well, correct? There were many times actually leading up to that. Child, wait a minute. You know what? Okay, I'm about to scream. And the person in the chat knows I'm about to scream. Child, child, never mind. Hey girl, hey. Hey boo thing. Anywho, all right, what was I saying? Well, anyway, we all know that we saw some very interesting things happening with, Wendy when we saw this 2 years ago, right? And so now it's like, oh, it all makes sense. Even in the documentary, the son talks about, his transactions. We can go into that too in a little bit. Hey, Ken H, what'd you say? What? Would the private banker also be her conservator? No. I don't think so. And the reason why I say I don't think so is because the guardian is usually someone who is not a fan. The reason why the courts put that guardian in place is to protect the interests of the client. So it's not to protect the interests of the bank, and it's not to protect the interests of even the family or the people around her, but it's supposed to protect her. So the best way to do that, I think one of the reasons they did not want to assign the guardian to be someone in the family is because maybe what happened with Britney Spears, could happen more often than it does. Or in the past, it has happened where, families think, oh, this is my chance to get my hands on the loot. Look, I know of family members who ain't thought too much of their family until they were getting near to death. And then it's almost like they pick them up, rip them out of their familiar, comfortable environment, only to traumatize them into a state of their last days, honey. They pick them up, move them all the way across town where they ain't got no friends, ain't no other family around. They ain't taking them nowhere. They ain't doing nothing. And the person gets depressed and dies off on their own. God forbid they're sick too. A lot of people take advantage of their family members like that. So can you imagine if the family member had millions upon millions of dollars? There are family members that'll take advantage. Now, I'm not saying that's the case with Wendy's family, because even what they have tried to suggest about the son, I don't see it like that. I think that boy loves his mama. And maybe, if you thought about how you spend money on your kid with the money that you make, why would you be surprised that he would have $100,000 in things which pertain to food and housing? Okay, food and housing were a large part of that money. Why would that be a big deal? She's a multimillionaire. So yeah, and maybe that's how they've gotten down all the time. Why all of a sudden do you think there's something weird about that? So I think people wanted to place blame on the son, and maybe some of the people who may have been around her that were influencing her, or who were trying to get their hooks into Wendy as well as they could. Maybe it was easy to blame him, because then that takes the eyes off of us, and we can say, this is why we need these things to be in place, and why we need to be here, because she can't depend on anybody. You know how narratives get spun all the time. So, that's just my thought. But here we go. Let's listen.
And that others have also reported that there's been independent parties outside, I guess, who've also reported their concerns of financial exploitation, potentially.
Okay.
Mhm.
So when we
And let me just
say,
say this, that this financial manager, advisor, private banker, I'm not sure exactly where she stands in the scope, but she's been with Wendy, from my understanding, for 15 years.
That's a long
oh,
time.
15 years.
15 years, yes. So this is not a short-term relationship. And she's been with Wells Fargo for over 23 years with an unblemished record. So she should know her. I'm sure she knows her well. She knows her transaction style well. And typically when someone decides that they're going to report exploitation or abuse, there's going to be some valid reasons for them doing so. And they typically will know the transaction strategy. It's no different than your credit card reporting or sending you a message to say, oh, we're detecting some irregular activity.
Yeah.
So it's very similar in that regard, that they're kind of monitoring and managing. And if things get out of hand, then their job, they have a responsibility to address that. And to
Let me clarify.
And let me say something before we go any further, okay? And you all may disagree with me, but I really don't care. I love my lipstick. Where is that damn lipstick? I think I used it all. I wish I had this lipstick now. Like, I like it. I like the color. Wow, where is that lipstick? This is from 2 years ago. Damn it, man. Okay, but let's go back, all right?
Clarify something before we move forward, just so that the audience understands. You don't work for Wells Fargo right now.
No, I don't work for Wells Fargo anymore.
You
No.
do not and have not. Okay. So, but you are aware of how this works, and you're not speaking on their behalf.
No, I'm not speaking on their behalf. I'm just speaking on my past experiences and where I've had to also report abuse for clients, potentially elder abuse, where people have taken advantage. And I'm not saying that this is the circumstance here. I used to work. I no longer work for Wells Fargo, so I can't speak for the reason why. And we're never going to know the reason why, because there's privacy regulations and laws that say that we're never going to really know why she made that decision to report it. Mm-hmm. But obviously, I'm going to assume that if she reported it at this level, then there has to be valid reasons for the bank to take action.
Okay. And I only wanted to make that clarification because people will think, oh, she's just saying that because she works for the company and she's trying to protect their interests because she works there. And that's not the case.
No, it's not the case.
Another thing I want to bring up, a lot of people are saying things like, well, Wells Fargo has gotten into trouble in the past, not necessarily for this, but they've just heard their name come up in the past for not so pleasant things as far as banking experience for other customers. So with that said, people like to, conflate issues, and that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking
I think even Wendy's attorney has stated that there's a genuine concern. So they're not disputing that there's a genuine concern here. They just don't believe that her proceeds should be frozen. But they're not suggesting that they're trying to create a financial hardship, because they're willing to come to some agreement to continue to pay her debtors on
now they are
directly.
Initially, though, they froze everything, and they did not make that stipulation initially.
Yes, I don't know if they made that stipulation.
They didn't initially.
Well, that's not what we don't know them to have made that, because typically if you're going to freeze the accounts, you typically aren't going to create a financial hardship, and those creditors will continue to be paid. You just have to identify them. So maybe we just didn't know that initially.
Okay, now the reason why I'm pausing that right there is because this brings up a good point. Shell Loves put in the chat, why would they wait now until after this person's been fired to make this decision? We don't know that that's how it went down. We don't know that. We know what is in the press, but there are just certain things that typically happen and typically don't happen under these types of circumstances within the banking industry and between the client and that financial advisor. So we are speculating. We are making assumptions and trying to fill in gaps where we don't have the answers, right? Because it doesn't make sense to us. But I think if we listen a little closely, we'll see that there are things that are just typical and just not typical within the banking industry. So we'll continue.
I don't know.
So there's
Typically,
actual
they don't just-
reports. There's actual
Mhm.
reports that she had to, Wendy had to go back to them and state
Y'all,
the
I'm
fact
sorry,
that
it's so blurry.
if she's unable to pay her bills because she didn't have access to it and her bills weren't going to get paid. So let
me say this, because she's about to, she's about to lay it out like how it really happens, and she's making a good point. Like, we don't know. That's what it looked like to us, or this is how we got the information, but doesn't necessarily mean that this is how things transpired. And I completely respect that in hindsight, especially. But she kind of straightens it up for me right here. But here's the other thing that I want us to consider. We noticed how goes along with a lot of people are thinking or question. We saw how in the documentary, Wendy, like when that girl was doing her nails and she said, "1 coat, please." And she said, okay, I can do 1 coat. But she was putting the base coat on and then wanted to put the color on top of that. And Wendy was like, "No, take this off. Are you dumb?" That kind of thing. Like how Wendy was so just, that's not normal. If someone was talking to you, especially, look, I don't know Wendy Williams, but I feel like I know her well enough from watching her daily or listening to her on the radio, daily, that, that response, talking to people in that manner, that was not the normal Wendy. There's obviously something going on with this person, right? Or remember when Will, whoever, what is Will, like her manager, I guess he was, because obviously Will and that lady who was the PR agent, they're both gone now since the documentary aired. But nevertheless, when Will was in there and he said, "I found one of your little, what did he say? Like your little specialty items you keep around here." And he pulled out that bottle of vodka and she was like, put it down. You leave it right there. Leave it right there. Is she a grown adult? Yes, she is. But you're going to do whatever you can. If you care about that woman, you're going to do whatever you can to try to keep things that could harm her away from her. Look, my mother's sister, my mother said, and I'm going to give you just a little backstory, in that she was the mother of 7 kids. 4 of her children she lost. She lost 4 out of 7 of her children. But the last 2 children that passed away 2 weeks apart from one another. Okay, so here she already is a mother who had lost 2 of her children. And then and this was around 2014, she loses 2 back to back, one in a house fire and the other had a heart attack while driving home. Okay, 2 weeks apart, literally. She went into dementia, set in like nobody's business, because, a lot of times trauma creates that. Wendy was sick. We already knew her to be physically ill, but she went through a very public divorce and then found out her husband had a child on. Now you may say, well, I mean, come on, V, your aunt is looking at the death of her children. That's not the same as what Wendy went through. It doesn't matter. Trauma is trauma. And none of us get to dictate how trauma impacts us. I say all that to say, it can happen so quickly that the person that you know is no longer the person that you knew a month or 2 months or 6 months ago, because sometimes trauma impacts people differently. And I feel that that's what was going on with Wendy's mental health. And Wendy's in pain and she's trying to feed the pain. She's trying to numb the pain. So she's drinking or she's doing whatever else she was doing. And if you care about someone who's been faced with that level of trauma, would you hand her a drink? Or would you do what they were doing. Tell the bartender to serve her some apple juice. Tell the bartender to do this for her, pour her this or that, so she can't tell that it's not a real cocktail. You know what I'm saying? Is she a child? No, she's not a child, but she's childlike now. And if you really care about somebody, you don't say, well, it's her money, she earned it, and she can blow through it if she wants to. You sound dumb. You sound real crazy. And I'm not talking to anybody in this chat, but I have heard people say, well, it's her money, she worked for it. Then how about this? What if you allowed that woman to do everything that she wanted to do with her money, and then 5 years from now, she doesn't have a dime, but she needs somebody to take care of her. She needs to be placed in a home. How is she supposed to take care of herself? So they are in place. These people at the bank, they know they cannot give you your money if it looks like you're not mentally capable to understand what's going to happen here, or if it looks like people around you are taking advantage of you. We can't let you just have your money all willy-nilly. Yeah, we'll pay your mortgage. We're going to pay your car notes. We'll pay your kids' tuition. We'll pay for all the basic necessities that we know have been your normal transaction patterns over the last few years or whatever. That's what we're going to pay, but we're not going to give you extra money so you can go buy this, that, and the other and blow it, and we don't know. Or we'll give you some money, but it's only going to be so much, so that you don't take it and blow it in ways that are catastrophe, causes catastrophe towards the rest of your financial future. Because you don't know how long she's going to live and what kind of needs she's going to have. She's already a sick woman. You think she got some regular old medical insurance, or you think a lot of times she's paying cash? Who knows what it is? But I do know this: she got medical issues, and they're only going to get worse. We've watched it get worse. So these people are doing what they can to protect her. I'm not saying everybody wants what's best for her, but certainly a lot of folks do. I definitely think her family has her back. But let's continue. Please hit the like button, please. Damn. Okay, here we go.
They made that stipulation
Okay,
later.
well, that may be the case, but typically, and maybe, I don't know, again, how that was positioned, that she may have wanted access to pay her bills, and they're suggesting they're going to pay her bills for her.
Yes. Okay.
And that's typically how that goes.
Okay. Gotcha.
In this process. They will find out who those creditors are, and they'll identify if they're continual, regular, and they will pay those on your behalf in the midst of an investigation, potentially.
So what type of evidence has to be apparent for a financial advisor, someone at this level, to say, you know what, this is an irregularity, and we need to do something about this? Would it be something that they, it wouldn't be something that they saw on the news, or something that the public is talking about in what do you call those?
No, it would have to be
blogs and all of that stuff. This is actual transactional.
It would have to be transactional, or an attempt for transactions, potentially.
Okay.
It would have to actually have physically been transactional, or an attempt to complete of some level of transaction.
Okay. And would it have to be multiple times, one time? It
may be, or may not. And it could be, it could be anything. It could be an enormous amount for an unreasonable request. We don't really know.
You know what, ODS? Me too. Even though, because the daughter is Wanda's daughter, right? The niece, The niece, was that Wanda's daughter? Because I don't think does the brother have kids? Does the brother have kids, or were the niece and nephew, are they both Wanda's kids? Just curious, ODS. Because I don't even know if I remember that. And honestly, I didn't see the last 30 minutes of the part 4. Tommy has no kids. I didn't think he did. Okay, so they're both Wanda's kids. Yeah, Wanda seemed a little sketchy to me too, but the kids seem like they love their aunt. and they love their cousin, and they want, they looking out for the cousin and the aunt. Honestly, that's what I got. Okay. I like the niece. The niece did not like that girl, that PR girl. She was like, can I talk to my aunt alone, please? Honey, that was too funny, but go ahead.
I don't want to speculate because I don't know. It can be for there's many reasons.
Well, I'm not
obviously
suggesting, no, hold on.
But it's definitely going to be something that is going to create some alarms. Like I need to understand why we're doing this. That was potential harm to the client.
Okay. So and I'm making this clarification for the audience. Okay.
Sure.
So I want to make sure that they understand that it's not because they saw something in the blogs or something was seen on the news and Wells Fargo decided they wanted to just freeze her accounts because it didn't look right in the news.
No.
The other thing I wanted to make clear too is that, when I made the comment about negative reports about Wells Fargo in the past, we've heard, people concerned that Wells Fargo is trying to steal Wendy's money. Now, I understand that Wells Fargo manages a lot of money. And I would bet that Wendy, while she is a wealthy person, doesn't even make a drop in the bucket as far as what the amount of money that they manage on a regular basis. So
Absolutely.
I don't think that they're going to try to steal her money. Right.
No. And I would imagine that from my understanding, her financial manager she's a vice president. And I can guarantee you if she's managing Wendy's assets, she's managing other large portfolios as well.
Billions of dollars.
And just keep in mind that anyone who has been decided that.
And let me say this real quick too, before I forget, because I meant to say it a second ago. Think about this. If you are in a bar and you're sitting at the bar, kicking it, having a good old time with the bartender and the fellow folks at the bar, and maybe you even met some friends there. If you're drunk as a skunk, is that bartender allowed to serve you another drink? Have you heard of bartenders that will stop and say, I can't serve you anything else? Do you know that they can be held by law if they are knowingly still serving drinks to somebody who they knowingly are aware that they are drunk? Because things can happen to people when they are drunk as a skunk. And do they catch it all? No. But they're not supposed to literally serve you a drink. If you might leave out of there, get in a car accident, they're going to try to figure out, well, where was he drinking all this stuff? Was he at a bar? Was he at a restaurant? Who was giving him all this? So my thing is, in the same way a bartender can't do it, the bank can't see you make some weird transactions or request sums of money that you normally don't request without any real legitimate reasoning for it. You can't look. And sometimes they get it wrong, but wouldn't you rather your funds or your assets be safe rather than you be sorry later? It's a fine line. But I think I get why these policies are in place. And the same thing is happening here. So that's what she goes into now.
They need some guardianship, or they may be at risk of misappropriation of their funds. They're not going to enjoy it. They're not going to like that because obviously they don't feel that that's where they are, that's what's going on. So they're going to give you pushback. They're not going to like that you put limitations and restrictions on their account. And I'm not saying any, because I don't know the story. No one knows. Right. But I mean, in my experience, no one is happy that you've decided to, even if it's in their best interest, that you've decided to hold funds from them in order to protect them. No one's going to be happy about that.
So quickly, would you be able to tell me something now? Again, have you had to? You made mention earlier that you've had to make similar decisions in the past because you thought that maybe there was abuse happening or exploitation happening of one of your clients. Can you elaborate and give us an example of how that might
Absolutely.
work?
So multiple and preferably more so clients. They're very trusting. A lot of times our elderly clients are. And for an example, I have one client who was coming in and we just kind of noticed he was coming in on a daily basis over maybe a 3-day course, wanting to wire funds to some offshore African location. And then he kept saying that, they have millions of dollars, the little whole millions of dollars scam. If you send me 10,000, I'll send you $1 million scam, whatever.
Oh, wow.
And if you send me 10, I need 10,000 or I need 50,000 in order to to give you this money that you won or that you've been awarded or whatever. And we just noticed, just this one example, that he was coming in and just sending tens of thousands of dollars. And
Daily.
it's my understanding was, okay, wait a minute, this is irregular. This doesn't make sense. And he wasn't just coming to my location. We identified that he was going to multiple locations and he was just giving the money, sending money. Okay. Right. So in that moment, because he was elderly, I was concerned really about his mental state,
Sure.
just some of the ranting or whatever. So I made the decision to report that as potential abuse, to report it and as him not necessarily, maybe he needed some guidance and some support. And they did reach out to his son or whatever. I mean, we did the report. They reached out to his son. The guardianship was taken. Come to find out, his bills weren't being paid at his home. Just all kinds of things were going on we didn't know about. But at the end of the day, when you identify something like that, I mean, they can't hold her funds forever. But you want to, if there's pause, you want to address it because your goal is to protect the client. Now, was he happy? He was very angry that we would not allow him to continue to wire money to this offshore location. He was very upset. He was belligerent. But at the end of the day, we knew that we were doing what we thought was best to protect him.
Now, does that sound like somebody we know? They get belligerent. They get angry because they feel like it's my money. I should be able to do what I want with it. And we get it. I get that too. But what if they hadn't stopped that man from giving that money? You know what I mean? Sometimes your family ain't worth shit. And sometimes it's these strangers that ain't worth shit, right? I mean, it could be anybody. But at the end of the day, because it is your money, because people don't want to see you taken advantage of, they're going to put the parameters in place to sort of ensure that as best as they can. And they don't always hit the mark when they do. But, I get it.
And ultimately, we were protecting him.
Because you were right. There was something wrong.
He had, he had dementia. We didn't know he had dementia, but come to find out he was diagnosed with dementia. But had we not reported that, his son may not have known that this was going on, that he was in jeopardy of losing his home. He was sending money instead of paying his bills. So sometimes, if you know your client, and in this case, this is a personal, private relationship, and it's a little different because your private banker or your investment manager probably knows you. You're going to call them for everything. Mm-hmm. So they know, how you're normally transacting, and they're going to be able to quickly identify if something's just weird or off. So, I'm going to say out of due care for our client, I'm going to assume, I don't know, that she was doing that in order to protect her, and if they identify or deem that, there are no issues, she does not need guardianship, I mean, they're going to do their due diligence and her funds will be released.
So this is my next question. You mentioned that they're not going to freeze them forever. What's the time period normally for something like this?
It just depends. It really depends. And it depends the level of what has been reported and what is required. Okay. So this one, it appears they're going to court. So they're taking this outside of the internal investigation process. So I'm not sure what was reported. It could be a couple weeks. It could be a couple months. It could be several months, depending on if they are requesting that a mental health evaluation be done. And if she's deemed, if they decide that she's incapable currently of managing her resources, then they have to appoint a guardian, because there's millions of dollars at stake here. This process could be a much longer process than someone who has 50 or 100 grand, So
Okay.
it just depends on how intricate it is, and it depends on, where her funds are, how they're managed, where they're located, are the investments, identifying a guardian, all of that.
Okay. And I know there was talk of trying to have her son made power of attorney, or to be the guardian.
That was rejected.
But that's rejected by the courts, correctly? Correct?
That was rejected
on my page. Oh, y'all can't see it. Hold on. Y'all probably didn't see it when I was saying Shell loves peace, love, all these people. It's so funny. Hold on. Why can't I? Oh, I'm in the wrong place. Yeah, look, Fedora's talking. Fedora said, thank you for the likes. Everyone, could you please hit the likes for me? I'd appreciate it so much. Okay, back to the show.
By the bank, it's my understanding.
Oh, the bank can make that decision.
They rejected that because they're requesting that a guardianship. They're wanting someone to review the whole, outside of Wells Fargo. They're wanting someone to review just everything that's going on. So they're asking for a guardian, that she be appointed a guardian to review the whole overview of her financial portfolio. So I don't know. There's something going on.
Right. Yeah, there is something going on. Okay. Well,
Wells Fargo, no one wants this level of negative press, I'm going to say.
Right.
So I'm going to assume that if they're so stern to stand their ground here, then something's going on that we're never going to know, because they're never going to really tell us what happened.
I agree. Okay.
Well, that's pretty much the interview right there. I'm going to stop sharing. Let's take a look at some of the things that they've been saying on TikTok. Hold on. About this whole situation, and watching Wendy, and it's just hurtful to actually see. Oh, hold on a second. I feel like, make sure the audio is on. Okay, it is. Okay. All right. So these are just some things I came across on TikTok.
Have a struggle.
Yeah. And she has a great picture right now in the media.
That's the girl.
So we can continue the way we're doing it.
How do you feel about the conservatorship saying don't do media interviews?
Actually, let's go back and look at that.
Great picture right now in the media.
For her to say this is a great picture of Wendy. Wendy looks like she was a child that was allowed to go into the closet, her mama's closet, and pick out anything you want to wear, boo-boo. And then we're going to go to the store. That's what this looks like to me. That's someone in their full right mind. Not those boots with them shorts, with them pantyhose, with that t-shirt. I can't do it. Okay. But this is that girl, Sean, who was the PR person, talking about, oh, we got a great picture of Wendy. Like basically we're getting her back out there. Yeah, you are. At what cost? And for who to benefit? Her or you?
So we can continue the way we're doing it.
How do you feel about the conservatorship saying don't do media interviews?
What is that?
That's where they say we control the money.
You're a financial guardian.
So on your show, just a couple years ago, Britney Spears, her conservatorship, her money, you talked about that a lot. How do you feel about Britney now? And what happened?
I don't care. I care about me first.
Well, so Britney used to have a conservatorship. Do you think that's wrong that the courts can do that?
Yes. But I'm glad it's happening to a white girl. Because oftentimes Black people have a struggle.
Yeah.
With everything.
And she has a great picture right now in the media.
Shut up, Sean.
So we can continue the way we're.
Next one.
I know that's right. Wendy Williams show. So now I can absolutely pull this down and show my moves. Please don't. You understand what I'm saying? Can I show you? No.
Oh shit! Look at my.
Okay.
Now, this is the kind of stuff that they said she was doing 2 years ago. Didn't nobody make that up? She trying to show her titties now. Oh, with a room full of people doing this on television. Child, this thing said, see, now I can absolutely just pull this down. I mean, it's not funny, but it's funny. It's fun. Let's laugh, but it'll make you cry. You know, it's very sad. But Lord have mercy, Jesus. Let's watch this one more time. Poor thing. The lady in the background who's recording this, when she said, see, I could pull this down, the girl said, please don't. You hear that? Listen to this, y'all.
I know that's right. Wendy Williams show. So now I can absolutely pull this down and show my moves. Please don't. You understand what I'm saying? Can I show you? No.
Oh shit! Look at my.
Okay.
Oh damn!
In a good way.
When she's utilizing the term free, I just think she means she can do what she wants.
Yeah, I'm gonna move it.
You know, there's a
hear anything.
Hi, how are you?
This is my niece.
Nice to meet you. Hi.
I'll give you a hug.
How are you?
I've never met you before.
I know. I've never met you before. Nice to meet you. So how did you guys get connected? How did that happen?
Her attorney at the time reached out so I can start doing the crisis and PR management about the Wells Fargo situation. And then we just continued on from that point.
And where do you live again?
Los Angeles.
Oh, you live in LA. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I live in
Gotcha.
Los Angeles. And you
And
live.
she's seen my new apartment.
Good.
Yes, I saw her new place, the place that she wants. She loves it. She's because it's all one level. So she was excited about that.
So I was telling Alex that I have.
Hi. How are you?
This is my niece.
That niece,
Nice to
she wouldn't have it.
Are you okay that she made the
well,
decision
you know
as
what?
an
No, I wasn't.
executive producer and the Guardian did not stop?
I was on the sideline saying, why are they showing this? And I was pissed, and it was going through my life.
Let me stop real quick. This one right here. Now I know ODS said that how he was side-eyeing Wanda. I've been side-eyeing Tommy's ass since Wendy got sick. Because he would come out here, go live every single damn day, talking about Wendy Williams is this and Wendy Williams is this, and wouldn't have shit that he could even say about Wendy because he hadn't even talked to her. He hadn't seen her at that point for a long time. He couldn't even tell you what her state of health was, and he all but admitted that when I saw something the other day that he did on I want to say Entertainment Tonight. Now that was the one time I felt like, okay, I feel like everything he's saying and what he's feeling is authentic, because what I did hear him say was, I didn't know until I saw her, or I didn't know until I saw it for myself, or even watching the documentary, because the documentary, they're picking up stuff that they would never see anyway, things that are happening at the house behind closed doors, when nobody's looking. The documentary, folks were able to catch that. But so the family didn't even know everything, but they knew enough. But I just thought he would talk about clout chasing. He would be using Wendy's name just so he could get 7 people in the chat. It just didn't make any sense to me. But here we go.
Was going with how I was addressing a lot of the media.
Tommy, let me ask you this. Are you and your family okay with
yes.
Sabrina Morrissey, the Guardian, who presumably allowed these cameras to come into her house and show the world Wendy in a state that I'm sure you and your family would prefer we didn't see?
In terms of, itemizing things that makes me uncomfortable, the whole thing just makes me uncomfortable, and I just want Wendy back. I'm upset for a lot of different reasons, but one thing is that, I kind of, looking down the line a little bit and having seen this production that just came out, you know, a lot of it wouldn't have taken place if not for some of the documentation. So I'm just, you know, fortunately we had a documentation, or Wendy had it, to put together a good quality piece.
Are
But,
you
you know,
okay that that she made the
well,
decision
you know what?
as a,
You know,
And I agree with you, Kenna H. She put unfortunately so many famous Black entertainers do not plan. James Brown, Lou Rawls, Barry White, Prince. You know what? I didn't know about the Lou Rawls situation, but the reason that that's funny to me is that every year Lou Rawls did a marathon for United Negro College Fund. And the reason why that's funny to me, or not funny, but you know, it's ironic, is that that's all about raising money to plan for our kids, for our Black students around the country who may not otherwise be able to get into other universities, or may not get the same type of education and access and opportunity as they might in white, you know, colleges. So the fact that I didn't know that there was an issue with Lou Rawls as a state, but the fact that you mentioned him and to know that he was planning for folks he didn't know, but hadn't planned for his own family, that's crazy. That's crazy. And then the Prince thing, somebody said that the Prince, somebody told me, is that a Jehovah Witness thing where they can't plan in that way? I still think it was weird that he didn't, like, I mean, his family still ends up with it, right? After they fought each other to figure out who was going to get it and who was the closest to him and who would he want to have it. But still, with that said, if you, even with them being the ones that were going to get it, him not having any children or a spouse, you would have thought he'd at least selected one person and say, okay, now look, when I'm out of here, you know, make sure everything goes to my sister Janie Sue, or make sure it goes to whoever. I mean, you would have thought he'd at least would have done that. But I want to say somebody told me that it could be a religious thing. Which is, hold on. Even if it was a Jehovah's Witness thing, he was so protective of his music when he was alive. That's true. And then they say he had over 2,000 songs that were just sitting I always feel like if there's music in the vault that didn't come out, especially people like Michael and Prince, like I didn't appreciate This Is It coming out. Even though I came to love it, it became something that's now stuck in our memory as far as, you know, how we remember Michael leaving us. And then there's the movie This Is It. But I don't think Michael released it because Michael was so meticulous. So is Prince, so meticulous about their music that if it wasn't up to their standards, hell with what we thought, if it wasn't up to their standards, why aren't we respecting that? Because there's the likelihood that something gets published at this point that they never would have co-signed. You know what I mean? You understand what I mean? You understand what I'm saying, as what Wendy would say? Oh, what'd you say? Miss Ray Ellen said the attorney Prince banished is now in control. Really? He banished an attorney for mistreatment or something, or mishandling and stuff? Wow, I didn't even know that. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's see what else.
Yeah, before. Yeah. I think I was younger though.
Yes.
I was younger.
Were you dating this before?
Yeah.
Are you still comfortable with podcasts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you still want to do your podcast?
Yes, this is part of the podcast.
You know what? First of all, whenever Wendy says, yeah, I'm going to do podcast, are you okay with podcast? I mean, you know, when she says it like that, you could tell she's still, poor baby, still doesn't know what that means. And it sounds like they still haven't done a good job of explaining it to her, that it's like, why won't they just say, you know, it's like being on the radio, and she wouldn't even necessarily have to be on screen. Like, even if they wanted to let her come out here and rant in a radio sort of situation and make her feel like, look, you can be comfortable at home while you do it. Nobody has to see you. You can eat your snacks, you know, how she's always talking about her snacks and food and things she likes, and she could talk about her wigs and working on, I mean, you could just give her a platform so she feels like she's doing something. And then they could go and edit it so she doesn't sound super loopy or anything. But outside of that, I mean, we're not going to see Wendy again. But I thought that it was cute that she's saying, "Are you still comfortable with podcasts?" And then here goes poor little Kev. I feel like he is being very mature and understands that his mom is not well, and you know, that he's just being gentle with her, I think. Hi, Dimples Wimples. Hi, Messy Missy. Let's see, what you say, Messy Missy? Whatever it takes to make a buck, you find out who people are when someone. You could you find out who people are when a broke nigga die, and you might get some insurance money out of it. Okay, there's a whole people really show who they are when someone's sick or death. You're so right. Here, let me go back.
Here before. I think I was younger though.
Yes.
I was younger.
We've eaten this before.
Yeah.
Are you still comfortable with podcasts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you still want to do your podcast?
Yes, this is part of the podcast.
Well, where do you want to do it?
We're doing it now, and we've done it often. It's making money for me and Will.
All right. She looked confused and she looked skinny. Like she needs a break, you know. I think she looks like she needs a break.
I'm going to be doing such fun things on my new TV show.
Really?
I've got a lot of expensive stuff that I want to give away. The person will come up, give you the cash. There you go.
Okay.
We're going to be doing things like that slowly. But the first here before.
Yeah. I think I was younger though.
As far as Wendy Williams is concerned, I watched the fucking docuseries.
I don't know.
But yeah, that's
But the Hollywood Reporter and other pieces, there is public sentiment about what's happening to Wendy. 2 years ago, she's on Wendy Williams' show. They talk perfectly clean for an hour.
yeah.
And now we're forgetting words and where we are.
Mm-hmm. I know what you mean. Sometimes she may forget a word or something along those lines.
Today, she called this place Miami.
Yeah. But I also think she just may forget sometimes.
Oh, girl.
Who on her medical team have you talked to?
I've never spoken to her medical team. But I feel that she's okay. And from the time I started working with her until now, she's much better. She's bouncing back. And I think that's important to say. She's on the bounce back right now. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, see, that's why we can't trust her, because she's not wanting Wendy to bounce back for Wendy's benefit. It's for their pockets. And I get it. People do jobs to make money, right? But there's certain jobs and for certain clients, you just have to know when to bow out, because if you can't see past the money, then we have a problem. We have a problem. Dimples Wimples, I saw what you put. I hear you. You said, I wish the judge would let the family step in instead of these strangers. And while earlier I was saying how I get why they choose guardians who are not a part of the family, because they're trying to find someone who will be objective. But bottom line is that should be for a period of time. There should be some other ways in which her life can be evaluated, and other people that could be options to care for her. I think that should be in place. And then, hold on one second, y'all. The other thing that concerns me is, you know, I want the family to be able to step in too, but then to what, like, I think that Kev, I think the way that they try to villainize him because of some $100,000 worth of transactions that consisted of, like I said, his home and whether that's rent or mortgage or whatever. It sounds like it was rent and DoorDash. I mean, you and I might order DoorDash and get some burgers and fries, and he may order lobster tails from DoorDash. It's not for me to say what he should be allowed to do, right? Or what he should be allowed to eat. because he's been eating like this his entire life. And I think people get all the way out of their mind and think, oh my God, the son was taking advantage. No, the son was just doing what he was used to doing. And I bet you money, if he understood that there were going to be some problems with that type of spending moving forward, just so that he could be in his mother's life, then he would. That's what I believe. That's what I believe. What did y'all say? Yes, her moral compass is off. What'd you say? Didn't they fire her? Talking about yeah, I guess she and, well, see, I don't know. She probably was fired for sure. I don't know if the Will guy, I thought I read somewhere he quit after this documentary. Oh, that's what I was going to say. And then the other thing is, this is something a lot of poor folks would never have. We have a documentary now. So just maybe the courts could see, well, we see what's going on with her. We see how she responds to family versus how she responds to these other folks. We see that the family does care about her. It's been 2 years. They still checking on her. They're still not taking advantage of her financially at this point. They still love their mother, their aunt, or whatever. I think now they should consider things differently. And maybe because of this documentary, they will. Because it's definitely the documentary that caused those two individuals to no longer be a part of the team. So maybe this was for the good. I also heard Tommy say in the interview he did with Entertainment Tonight, where he got very emotional. I would play it, but it was a little too emotional for me, because I was going through ranges of emotion. But one thing I heard him say, and I want to say, I heard the son say something positive about Will. It sounded like the son thought that Will was trying to do the right thing. What I heard Tommy say was that he appreciates the documentary, that the family in many ways appreciate that the documentary was made, because not only are they being enlightened about things that they weren't even aware of that was going on with her, because they say a lot of times when she's with them, she is more lucid. You know what I'm saying? She's clearer when she's with the family than she is away from them. So when she's away, they don't know just how bad off she is. They know it's not right. They know what they're seeing and feeling and what they have witnessed isn't cool. But I do believe that this documentary helps matters, and it may be putting them in a better position to gain the control that they need. But still, they got to be careful, because I don't know about Wanda either. Why you fooling? And she's a whole attorney. Damn shame. All right, let me see what else we got here. Let me see.
I love putting this down and hoping that somebody knows exactly who I am. I love being famous.
Everywhere we go here, I mean, people are taking pictures of her.
What's this? What did we stop for?
We're at the Star.
This is it?
Yep.
Oh, right. This is the Star.
Let's suppose. Dimples one fools, you ain't the only one. I didn't know whether he was good or bad either, child.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Thank you. I love putting
I wake up like 2 o'clock in the morning to go to the bathroom. I just delivered him 2 months ago, and Big Kev wasn't in the bed. And then I walked into young Kev's nursery to, my baby. And I hear my husband talking greasy on the phone in one of the guest rooms. He was clearly talking to a girl. And then I lose it and jump into the room. I say, what's going on? He told me it was some girl, some bank teller he met at a bank. He's ending it and so on and so forth. And I honestly believe that. This is my husband, and we had a baby, and I don't know how to be a mother. What do I do with this? I wanted this, but what do I do now? You're not going to leave me alone. Hold on.
Let me say this about Kev. Do I think he's an asshole? Yes. Have I heard stories about him intimidating people, male and female alike? Yes. Have I heard stories about him threatening to put his hands on folks? Yes. Did I hear Jasmine Sanders from D.L. Hughley's show? She was talking about she used to work at the same radio station as Wendy at one point. I'm guessing out of New York. And they worked in the same radio station, and that she was working on one show in one studio, and Wendy would be in, her studio across the hall. And, the studios typically have like glass windows or whatever. So she said she was sitting and watching Wendy's husband come in there, and she said Wendy looked very intimidated by him, that I don't want to say he didn't like hit her, but Jasmine said that she felt very uncomfortable from the way in which he was, standing over Wendy. They looked intimidating. Now, mind you, they're in two different rooms, but sometimes you can see energy. Now, it doesn't mean that Wendy hadn't said or done something, but this girl is describing somebody who appears to be physically abusive. Now, let's just take that off the table. Let's say he was never physically abusive towards her. All right. We know he's a jerk. He cheats on his wife, right? But let me say something that a lot of people just don't like to hear. And I said it 2 years ago, and I still say it today. Wendy hit her peak and did everything she wanted to do from the time he became, I see him different than Daddy. Okay. I'm sure in some ways Monique sees them very much alike. Monique's husband to her and which is Daddy, and Kev to Wendy. Now, Kev, what I would say is this. I don't know how he treated other people. I've heard he treats other people really, really bad. But one thing I knew for sure is that Wendy never missed a day of work while he was in her life. She never, we never saw her drinking or being so drunk that she couldn't work. Why? Because he knew his wife and he knew what she could do and what she couldn't do. All right. Now, people might say, well, that's not cool. What if he was giving her drugs? Wendy is Wendy Williams. She probably could have got the drugs anyway. One thing we know is he knew how to keep her balanced. Did he have an affair for several years, like 13 years with Shireen before they had a baby outside the marriage? Yes. And Wendy knew about that girl. There are pictures of her with the girl and with Oh Boy and Charlemagne when they all worked together. Charlemagne has talked about how Kev's a jerk. There are other people have come forward and say how Kev's a jerk, and he may be a whole jerk. But I do feel that if he had been in her life, she might still be on TV. She probably wouldn't have dementia, or at least not to this degree. I think she'd still be doing what she wants to do. She wanted to go to TV. He did everything in his power to get her there. Did he have any management experience before Wendy? No. But Wendy achieved her greatest achievements while he was in her life. It just is what it is. Like I said, she never missed a day of work. If Wendy like it, I love it. But I do think that he shot himself in the foot. Now, he would go and spend every weekend with Sharina for the 13 years. He would spend Sunday through, or like probably Sunday through Thursday with Wendy, because she shot her show Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You're not going to tell me Wendy Williams didn't think there was anything odd about him being gone every Thursday through Sunday. You're not going to tell me that she didn't think about it or didn't know where he was. She knew. She knew exactly where he was, what was going on. She may not have known the exact location, but she knew. And
I feel sorry for her because I know that baby, that changed everything, as it should and could. But that's why I'm saying he shot himself in the foot. It was more important for him to make this side piece happy, who is no longer with him, and now he's broke as a joke. And here is Wendy broken, and the son is all in the middle. Anyway, that's all I really want to come out here and share today, y'all. I'm gonna go. This was my second live of the day. And I knew the people wouldn't gonna come over here for the Wendy Williams, but it was for me because I've been watching this and have been meaning to come out and give some commentary on it. And then thought about all the things that we talked about in my previous interview to discuss this issue. And everyone was saying, that's not right. They shouldn't be freezing her money and blah, blah, blah. No, I'm glad they froze her money. Now let's figure out a way so that Lil Kev gets what he's supposed to get without him blowing it. You know, I hope that things are in place for him from a financial planning aspect so that he doesn't find himself in a situation like his dad. Okay. His mother worked too hard for, you know, it to go away. She's very concerned for her child and she wants him to be taken care of and taken care of well. So you guys, if you don't mind, on your way out today, would you mind please hitting the like button? Please share if you can, and subscribe if you haven't. And I promise I'll try and come out here tomorrow with some more content. I'm supposed to have another interview. Oh, let me tell y'all this real quick. Side note, and then I'm out of here. I was supposed to be interviewing one of Diddy's former artists. Ciao. People are so funny. It fell through. Don't know if it's going to happen. Okay, if it doesn't. Because what I feel is that at this point, I don't know if I was going to get out of that interview what I had hoped to get, which was some answers to many questions that a lot of us have. And it sounds to me like they've had a change of heart, or not that they've had a change of heart. Maybe that they are changing the narrative, I should say, about where things may stand now. So I'm okay with that, but I do have another one coming up. It's supposed to happen this week. I'll find out hopefully tonight. Fear might have something to do with it, Miss Ray Ellen, but it could fear. Here's the thing. The person was talking a whole lot, a whole lot up until about 6 months ago. And then a lot of things started happening. And I don't know, maybe the person had maybe, I don't know, maybe they got some money. I don't know. But here's the thing. This is the reason why I don't like doing paid interviews, because you never know what you're going to get. This person, I think, you know, if there's somebody that could be paid, then the narrative changes. You see how that goes? So I like someone to come out here and just be completely authentic about what they feel, what they have experienced, share what they want to share. I don't want you to think you got to be more salacious because I'm paying you, or you got to say something that I want to hear because I'm paying you. I don't pay for interviews. Oprah don't pay for them. Sherry don't pay for them. Robin Roberts don't pay for them. Deborah Roberts don't pay for them. Al Rokerson don't pay for them. These people don't pay for interviews. So when you're interviewing celebrities in particular, they're not going to get paid for it. So if they ain't paying for the interview, why am I paying for it? No. People do strange things for change. And maybe they did something strange. Maybe they didn't do nothing strange. They just got some change, so they don't want to be strange. Or I don't know. But, you know, it is what it is. So with that said, please hit the like button. And I will come out here tomorrow, the next day. I'm supposed to be doing an interview regarding the Larry Reid situation. So once I know more, once I know the date, I will let you guys know. In the meantime, in between time, have a great night. Smoochers.
Baboon.